Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again. Another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It's Tuesday, it's Dirty Air, and it's the first of the month. Amy's going to be with us, and we've got a lot to talk about. Chase Briscoe is going to call in after winning Darlington, and we're going to cover our Cars Tour race and our experience in Florence. So let's get going. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It's Tuesday, and it's time for Dirty Air, presented to you by Tire Pros. And joining me, the first of the month. What's the date?
It's the 3rd.
All right, so it's the first podcast of the new month, and Amy is here, right on cue.
How's it going?
Hey. Yeah. So we talked about, fans wanting you to be on the show, and we've decided first of the month. Right?
Yes.
All right.
First Tuesday of the month.
First Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
First show of the month. You excited about this? You look forward to it?
I'm a little nervous after last episode.
Why?
Word vomit. I'm a little concerned. I won't bring the heat today, but I'm going to do my best.
Well, we're going to get right into the Darlington race that Chase Briscoe won. But later after that, Chase is going to call in here pretty early. It's predicted that he should be calling in soon. And but after that, we'll cover you going with me to Florence to race in the Cars Tour race, which was just miles from Darlington this past Friday night, and we had a blast.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. On the table, I wanted to, Mike probably going to want you to cut this out of the show because
But we're not.
All right?
No.
This is for the foundation. Maybe he won't cut it since it's a charitable initiative.
That's right.
I brought this from our beach house in South Carolina. This is an Xbox One, one of one, wrapped in Junior Motorsports colors, and I'm going to wipe it clean.
Should I Vanna white it and show it off a little?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've been
Dang, it's heavy.
It is a brick. I've got the controller, which is also wrapped, and the power cord. I'm going to wipe it clean, put it up on the foundation eBay. It's mine. I've been using it at the beach house.
Very clean. Looks like you've had it
good shape.
well wrapped.
It's in good shape. Just wanted to. I'm trying to get try to get a number on eBay for that. The last game I played on this was probably Madden a couple years ago, and yeah. So anyhow, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Darlington. This was the last race of the regular season. We joked about how, it was weird that it was the last race because we're so used to Talladega being the last race, but this
Daytona.
Daytona. And this lived up to it, though. We also said something that I thought was absolutely factual. I don't know if I could have said it better, if I might say so myself. It's the Everest of NASCAR, right? It is the hardest race to win. The argument over, which I don't like the word or the phrase crown jewels, the argument over which ones belong in there, there's no debate on Darlington being a part of that group. And the reason why, now Darlington, the track itself, yes, historic, yes, old, may not hold a candle to an Indianapolis in terms of notoriety globally, but if you asked if you polled all of the NASCAR drivers, you get to win one. You want to win Darlington, the Southern 500, or do you want to win at Indy in the Brickyard 400? I think the majority are going to tell you Darlington, and the reason is because they know that if you win there, it's like bona fide factual evidence that you are a race car driver, a talented driver, not just holding the steering wheel. If you go to Indy and win, if the car factors in a ton, yes, you got to be a good driver, but there's no hiding at Darlington, and there's no lucking into a win there. There's no sort of average driver that gets an incredible car and wins there. Even in that scenario, you're going to get beat. It's just it's a very slick, narrow, unpredictable track, but the both ends being so completely different from each other. Nothing about them are similar. Turns 1 and 2 at Darlington is one of the most nail-biting, intimidating corners at any oval racetrack in North America. And, just trying to get through there by yourself, let alone on the racetrack with 40 other cars, is so tough. And you do that all night long, and you got to run inches from the wall, trying not to damage your car. It's hard to do. And so only the good ones, only the really, really good ones will get wins at that racetrack. And Chase Briscoe comes into the final race of the year, not in the playoffs, going to have to win. He was one of many drivers trying to go in and try to have a walk-off home run or whatever you want to call it, a Game 7 moment. And so he had a really fast car, ran second, ran really good all night long. Never really got an opportunity to sort of go toe-to-toe with Larson throughout most of the night. But it seemed like as the race got later and the track changed somewhat, something changed. But Larson's competitiveness sort of faded, and Briscoe took advantage of it. Great move down the back straightaway on a late restart.
Yeah, 4th to 1st.
Yes.
What a move.
And so
Crazy.
taking advantage of some drivers taking advantage of Chastain, who had stayed out. I like that move. Look, Chastain didn't have a chance in hell staying out on old tires. But what else are you going to do? He's also got to win the race. I saw a few other drivers that were also in must-win scenarios not taking those chances. I'm thinking, what are you doing? There was a couple of drivers that needed to win the race that didn't come down pit road to get tires on that one caution. And so I'm like, man, you're not even trying to put yourself in an offensive position. And so, even though Ross probably didn't have much of a chance on the older tires, I thought it was really cool that he tried and his team said, hell with it, we're going to stay out. But Briscoe gets the positioning into turn 3 and ends up taking the lead. And one of the drivers that was smart and put tires on his car and gave himself an offensive chance was Kyle Busch, right? And, man, it was fun to sit inside that car and ride with Kyle as he tried to track down Chase Briscoe in those final laps. I talk about the broadcast a lot and how important it is to show the fans how incredible the racing is. And if the broadcast doesn't, you could have an amazing race, but if the broadcast doesn't take you there and doesn't show you why it's amazing, you'll never know it. Well, they did a really, really smart thing by sitting inside the race car more than usual in those moments. It put us in the passenger seat with Kyle Busch as he's doing everything possible trying to find just a little bit more speed to chase down a guy who's driving with his hair on fire in Chase Briscoe. I mean, Chase Briscoe's sitting there going, here's my moment. I've got to do this not only to try to make the playoffs, but SHR shutting down 350 employees, all trying to figure out where they're going to go to work next year. This is his chance to sort of give them something to be excited about. And so he's also looking in the mirror and seeing one of the best drivers in the series chasing him down. And he has 3 lap better tires.
Well, I want to say, if you want to ask him about the moment,
good.
Chase Briscoe is here.
Let's bring him in. All right, Chase Briscoe, man, it's Dale Jr. and Amy here, my wife. She's here with us as well. Thanks for calling in today, man. What you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm just at the shop. I just did our 14-team meeting, about to do our company-wide meeting, and then we're going to do the toast later this afternoon, and I got sim at 5 to 7. So, yeah, always Tuesdays for me are like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. kind of days. So it's a long one, but this is a better one than normal.
You look like you still ain't had sleep.
That wasn't nice.
Yeah, so Sunday night, all the guys came over, and I don't think they left till like 5:30.
Yep.
And then my son woke up at 8, and then last night we went to bed at like 10 something, and then I had to leave that. I had to wake up to leave the house at like 6:45. So yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. I'm all right.
All right, man. Well, hey, I've always really appreciated you as a driver, and always liked the emotion you show about, what you're out there doing. You certainly showed a lot of emotion the other night at Darlington. I was just telling everybody how hard it is to win there and how badly drivers want to check that box. And so explain that to us. Why do drivers want to win at Darlington more than most other racetracks?
Yeah, first off, I appreciate that. But, I feel like just Darlington, especially inside the industry and especially among the drivers, like there's just a respect that comes with if you're able to win at that place, because they can't discount, the talent and the ability you have if you can win at Darlington. Like there's no way to cheat your way into winning at Darlington. Like you have to be good to get around there, and it's just a challenging racetrack. It's probably the hardest track that we go to from just a mental standpoint, even a physical standpoint. You have to run 500 miles, a quarter of an inch off the fence, and it's just a really challenging track that, every driver, when you leave there, I mean, you can run 10th there at the Southern 500, and if you run 10th, it's like, man, like I did a pretty good job tonight. And whenever you can win at Darlington, it's just so gratifying, just because as a race car driver, you feel like you did your job right. And, it's just, I feel like it's just a super gratifying win just because of the respect, honestly, that comes with it. And whenever you can win there, just, the guys in the garage all kind of just look at you a different way, I feel like. So that's definitely going to help my confidence going forward for sure.
Yeah, I would say so, man. I was happy to see the opportunity that you're going to get going forward next year with Joe Gibbs Racing, but curious as to how you might perform when you change teams, change organizations. But when you win this race, it's like an automatic gain in stock. Like whatever everybody's expectations were for you going forward in your career and specifically next year, I think everybody's expectations just kind of popped up a notch because of winning at this specific racetrack under those conditions, especially how you made it happen. Throughout the night, you were kind of hovering right there around second place. Never really an opportunity to go head-to-head against Larson until late in the race. It looked like his balance on his car was sort of going away throughout the event. Started seeing him struggle, having some challenging moments, and particularly at the end, the pace just wasn't there. And it's like, as the race evolved, your car just continued to improve. How hard were you pushing, I guess, through the first 2/3 of that race, or were you just trying to get to the end and have an opportunity? What was the mindset?
Yeah, it was, from the get-go, I told our guys on the radio, like lap 35, I said, if you guys just do everything right tonight on pit road, we're going to be in the mix here. I knew my car was pretty good from the beginning. And yeah, like you said, I watched Kyle Larson lead like 275 laps. All I saw was HinderedCars.com forever, I felt like, and was able to just watch him, like literally. And I remember telling myself with like 120 to go, if I don't at least lead a lap in this race, like I'm going to be so frustrated, just because I felt like I was 10 to 40 car lengths behind him the entire night. So I had a good idea of what his car was able to do and what my car was able to do, and I was better than him for sure the first 10 laps of a run. He was quite a bit better than me from lap 10 to probably 25, and then we would kind of even out. So that was the big thing for me, is just trying to stay close enough that we could potentially short pit him, because I was almost like a half a second faster the first 10 laps of a run. So I knew if I could just stay close enough to, short pit him, I could come out with the lead, and I felt like we were evenly matched enough that whoever had the lead was going to be hard to beat. I just wasn't sure how I was ever going to get the lead, and we had that one restart where I all but cleared him and wasn't quite able to do it, and then the one with Ross where we went 3 wide, I knew that was probably going to be the only opportunity I was going to get on a restart potentially, and just had to do whatever I had to do to try to get the win. And obviously that restart kind of just everything went right for me, and was able to get the lead. And from there I thought I was going to be pretty easily able to win, and then obviously the 8 car came coming on tires.
So the last couple laps, man, I saw you getting into the fence a little bit in turn 3 and 4. Was that concerning at all? I mean, you're running on the ragged edge. Are you having to kind of are you having a battle in your own mind in that moment? I was thinking about this while you were driving there those last few laps. I was thinking about how tough that battle must be in your head about how hard to push, but you can't, you certainly, you're almost in big trouble a couple times. You're running that close to the wall and making contact. Did you have to kind of back yourself down the next time you went into turn 3 in terms of like, hey man, all right, let's not overdo it. We almost overdid it. What are you thinking and what's going on in your mind there?
Yeah, it was wild. I think we got the restart with like 18 laps to go. And like I said, my car was super good for like the first 10 laps. Like we had a couple tenths on the whole field. So when I got the lead, like the initial start, I went through 1 and 2 and I knew I had the lead. And my whole mindset was I'm just going to run hard enough to stay in the lead and save my tires, because all night I had never really saved any tire. I'd always went as hard as I could, just trying to stay close on the short run. So with the lead, I was like, I'm just going to save my tire and just leave a little bit on the table. Well, then as soon as Kyle Busch got to second, my mindset kind of changed right away. I need to run as hard as I can and just try to build as much of a gap. Just because I knew my tires were at a little bit of a deficit, and I'd be lying if I said with 15 to go I didn't think I was potentially beat. Just seeing how quick he was running me down and knowing that he had a tire advantage, and it kind of got me to looking in 3 and 4 doing different things. I was kind of sliding myself, and he had been running the bottom on the short run, at least when he was catching me, and I tried going to the bottom at one point and lost a ton of time. And I had watched, like I said, Larson kind of the whole race, and what made it impossible for me to pass him was how he would just run the wall in 3 and 4. So as soon as Kyle got within probably 8 or so car lengths, I said, I'm just going to commit to the fence. And I knew my car was really good in 1 and 2. So I knew as long as I didn't mess 1 and 2 up and I just ran the fence in 3 and 4, it was going to be hard for him to pass me. And that's kind of what I sold out to. And, I was extremely loose. I was sideways, and from lap, probably 15 to go to 8 to go, felt like they were 2-minute lap times. Just it felt like it took forever, and I was watching him run me down. And then the final 8 laps went by super fast. And honestly, it was a lot like deja vu with the Xfinity race me and Kyle had there in 2020. I was super loose then. He was running me down, and honestly, that experience made it where I was not nervous at all Sunday night. Because I had been in that position, that exact position before, where I felt like the world was on my shoulders. Kyle Busch is right behind me at Darlington. He's got a little bit better car, and I just had to run the fence and do it as best as I could. And like you said, I got in the wall a couple times, especially coming to the white flag, which I also did in that Xfinity race. And when I hit it, I just held it wide open, and essentially it was like I'm going to do like Ross does, and instead of lift and try to get out of it, I'll just stay wide open and hope it bounces me off of it. And it ended up doing that, and was able to obviously hold off for the win.
Dang, man. What a scenario. Leading at Darlington with a few laps to go, one of the best chasing you down, the world on your shoulders, and you didn't crumble. The mental fortitude and mental toughness, I mean, you like you say, nobody will ever be able to take that away from you or deny the fact that you're one tough individual mentally. I know that you've had a moment, I guess, to kind of get to the shop and be around the guys a little bit today. You got a team that's now in the playoffs. They've got a little bit of extra motivation to finish this year out. Some things to be smiling about. How has this win? I know it's a short time here, but how has this win sort of shaken the foundation of the team in a good way?
Yeah, it's been huge. Obviously, it's no secret everything that we have going on here at SHR. We're truthfully at a huge disadvantage every week. The Hendricks, the JGRs, every other team in the sport, all they worry about and focus on is how can we take the fastest car to the racetrack. And unfortunately for our employees, they're trying to do that, but on top, they're trying to figure out how they're going to have enough money to, pay their house payment, where they're going to work next year, what they're going to do for a living. And there's a ton of distractions, right? And just how we've ran performance-wise has made it, even worse on top of that. And I'm not going to lie, it's been kind of dark and gloom here for a little while, just with everything that we got going on. And, you come into the shop today and, like, everybody's fired up. And it's exciting, truthfully, just because we have absolutely nothing to lose. And, we're in a, like I was saying earlier, we're in a totally different spot than every other race team is. But that's also, I think, what's so exciting for me going into these playoffs now is, the momentum that we have and just the chip on our shoulder as a company, and just the excitement behind us is unlike anything I've ever seen at SHR. And that's pretty exciting to be the guy that, gets to carry that flag, especially in the playoffs. So, yeah, it's, that win couldn't have came at a better point. If we would have won next week, it would have been great, but we wouldn't have been racing for a championship. And I think that the whole dynamic of our company would have been extremely different today if we did not win on Sunday night. People probably start leaving. I've even said that the last month and a half or two that if we don't make the playoffs, there's really no reason for anybody to stay the rest of the year. And I always thought that it was going to be hard for us to even get cars to the racetrack. And now with us being in the playoffs and racing for something, it gives all 320 plus people a reason to stay and, to do everything they can to keep fighting. So, yeah, it's going to be a wild final 10 weeks. And, I wouldn't be surprised if, we have another, Tony Stewart type, 2011 championship run, just because I feel like, as a company, we're that motivated right now and everybody's fired up, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Man, that's great. I think it's a great story. I think fans are going to latch onto it, and you got a lot of people probably that, weren't expecting to, that are going to be pulling for your team going through a bit of a Cinderella story, going out in a blaze of glory, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be having fun watching you, man. I know you're going to give it everything you have. Thanks for giving us some time today. I know you're a busy guy, and hopefully you can get some rest and get fired up for this weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, I heard you're maybe joining the Madden League, too.
And I joined the Madden League.
What?
What? No.
Oh, sorry, I just got in the doghouse.
No!
Did you tell him to say that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Hey, Chase, I'll send you that $20
Face is very red over
saying
there,
that.
Andrew.
Sorry, I was talking about my other buddy, Dale Jr.
Yeah.
Are you joining the college league? The college? Yeah. I'll join the Madden.
TJ's been asking me about the college league, and I feel like if we're just going to start in the Madden League soon, there's no point to start the college league.
I understand.
So,
yeah. It's one or the other.
I don't know.
It's one or
The
the
Madden
other.
League's going to be tough. I got twins coming right when the season's starting up, so I don't know, but I'm going to try to figure out a way
Heavy
to sneak
breathing
it in.
over here.
He's got twins coming.
I
Amy.
know. What are you doing playing Madden?
I mean, it's only like an hour.
That's what I tell her. It's like an hour.
It's only an hour.
I appreciate that. All right, man. Hey, have a good week, and I hope to see you soon, man.
Yeah, see you guys.
Right.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about safety culture. You may know Safety Culture's logo from Shane Van Gisbergen's car, but Safety Culture is more than just a sponsor. It's also the workplace operations tool for the Trackhouse Racing team. And what does that actually mean? Well, the team uses Safety Culture's app to manage everything from pre-race inspections on the car to assembly checks, and they even do some of their training on the app. Every race team has an incredible amount of individuals that maybe don't even travel to the racetrack, work back at the shop, that are a big part of the success of that race team, preparing cars, getting them ready to go to the racetrack and run these races and try to win checkered flags and ultimately championships. No matter what you're trying to achieve, no one has time to waste. From construction sites to factory floors, Safety Culture is designed to drive improvements not just in safety, but broadly across quality and efficiency too. Are you ready to put your workplace in the pole position? Well, head to safetyculture.com/SVG. Oh my gosh. All right.
Where do we go from there?
So TJ,
Don't ever blame TJ. Listen, TJ's got a lot of ideas, but you have to say yes.
Well, I want people at home to understand what's going on. So TJ is we all have Xboxes. There's the NCAA football came out, Madden's come out, all the football season starting around the country in real life, and so the new versions of the games have come out. And I haven't played Madden in a decade. College hadn't been out, like they didn't even make a game for 10 years. So we all got super excited this year. And TJ's the commissioner in this league, right? And he just invites everybody and anybody, a bunch of old friends, and then some new people. And he's been asking Briscoe to join our college football league. And
do you guys bet? Like, does
No.
somebody actually win money? So what's
No. It's just for fun.
Like,
I mean,
even in fantasy football, we bet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right, I'll bet if it makes it better.
I mean,
Yeah, you're the
at least
only
makes
one
sense.
putting
Yeah,
money in.
I mean,
I'll
come
bet
on.
if Amy likes it, if it makes her
Fine, I'll
hate
gamble.
it less, I'll bet.
I've tried to tell him this. Bear with me. I know this is probably not my audience. How would you feel if you came in from doing anything and I'm sitting in the floor playing Barbies? Like, what would you think?
She thinks Barbies is the same as playing.
I mean, it's a game
Xbox.
that most young kids play.
Yeah.
But now here we are because there's a new one coming out, and I got an extra hour.
But you have a chance to win a national championship.
I
We
can
have to
win
take-
anything I want in
we have a
pretend
chance
play.
to take UNC Charlotte. to
Yeah.
the national
Yeah, right.
championship,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
never
Dale's
been done
doing
before.
something that's never been done before.
Unprecedented.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So,
thanks for the invite to the league, by the way. Appreciate
do
it.
you have an Xbox?
Yeah.
Do you
can-
have the
can
game?
this
Yeah,
one.
I do.
Then TJ should be
I'll reach
inviting
out.
you.
All right.
TJ
I'm
basically
horrible.
will take anybody.
Okay.
There's a bunch of strangers in
Does that
there.
make you feel
Well,
better about
I don't
yourself?
know.
No,
Just
I'm
takes
just-
everybody.
Yeah, I'm a charity case.
Yeah.
Well, no, what I
The
mean by
Make-A-Wish.
that is if you just asked him, you'll get the invite.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not particular
All
about
right.
who's he's.
You're not
there's
making him feel better.
There's
It's
a bunch
still
of
like,
strangers in this thing. I don't even know some of these people.
Okay.
It's Greg, Boise State. Who are you, Greg? I don't know. I don't know.
Frickin'
Greg's
Greg.
gonna be pissed.
Yeah, Greg called
But-
into the show.
Yeah. So but he was like, I might ask Briscoe. Briscoe's got Briscoe plays.
He's got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Playoffs, Twins.
I was like, man, that would
Yeah,
be neat.
he's good.
A way to kind of vibe and communicate with Briscoe outside of the
Yeah.
having to be at a racetrack. Going back to Darlington, going back to Briscoe. He won that race, and this guy has been through so many things, personally and professionally, and I think it's frustrating because I don't think I remember life being this way 20 years ago, but now these days we forget so quickly. Our short-term memory, the news cycle's much faster. This guy was racing in the Xfinity Series, and at one point there was no next step. No, he wasn't. There was no here's the obvious next opportunity. We all know that Tony Stewart would then surprise him as he stepped.
That's right. Yeah.
Tony Stewart would surprise him in his own home at the dinner table at Stewart's house, and literally change this guy's life, where he thought he didn't know where the next opportunity was coming from or if there would be one. Him and his wife went through their own personal challenges, trying to grow their family. While he wins that race at Darlington in the Xfinity Series with Kyle Busch, they were going through some challenges. You remember him getting out of the car and how emotional he was.
Yeah.
And so think about all of the things, think about how his career has been and how his own personal life has been, and how hard that must have been for him to try to stay on course emotionally, mentally, not only stay on course to be able to be here and win this moment, but he actually seems like he's grown stronger and become tougher, become more durable. And but either way, man, I don't know how you can't talk to the guy, and he's humble, easy, approachable, kind, nice, and knowing everything from his past. How can you not want him to succeed, right? Not that anybody doesn't. I'm just saying, how could we all not hitch our wagon to this Chase Briscoe momentum coming out of this Darlington weekend and hope for the best? There's a lot of communication around the playoffs. This happens with anything in NASCAR. It seems every week there's a new problem. And I guess some of the grumblings this week was, well, the playoff system is broken because some people are in there that don't deserve to be in there.
We were talking about that after Daytona.
Right.
Which is
garbage.
Two kind of surprise winners 2 weeks in a row.
It's a garbage. It's what it's supposed to be. It's set up to produce these surprise winners. It's set up to give us these Cinderella stories and these Game 7 moments. It's not working. It's working as designed, right? And so, I feel like that. I like that Chase Briscoe is going into this going, we've got a chance to do, like, for him to say, hey, we could do what Tony Stewart did that year, where Tony just showed up. Tony was like not a factor in the season, 12th, 11th, whatever, not winning races. He was even telling everybody they didn't belong in the playoffs, they didn't deserve to take a spot, and then they went and won the championship, won 5 races or something in the playoffs. So for him, I know he recognizes that moment because it's so close to his car, his car owner, and I mean, it's like it's got to be top of mind. But for him to say, why can't we do that? We can do that. Like, he really thinks he can, which is pretty cool.
I mean, you look at the schedule too. 2 wild card races in 2 different rounds.
Atlanta.
I mean, Atlanta. You win Atlanta.
Yeah.
You go in Talladega. All of a sudden, you're in the round of 8.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just fall into a win at Darlington. Like, you got to earn that. Like, I talked to him in Victory Lane after the race. He's like, I'm about to pass out. Like, that's the hardest. I ran 367 laps. Like, I gave it my all.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
pretty cool.
and I mean, I have to say, like, this is what I love about sports. Like, it's the story, right? And like, for Chase to go out there and just run as hard as he can and succeed and reach the top of that mountain after everything he's been through, it's what makes you want to follow along. It's what makes watching this whole thing that we call this sport worth it.
That's a great point. We're focusing on Chase and how cool this is for him and his own story, but it gave us a sports moment. It gave us, it's absolutely something NASCAR hangs their hat on and says, hey, look at what we've done this year, and look at why our sport's what it is, why it's successful. So good ad there, pal. I don't really have a ton more that I care to cover on this race. I kind of want to reach over this table here and see what you guys thought went on in the race that's worth pointing out. It was an incredible race, good race, fun race, a lot going on. There were a lot of big moments, but with Chase saturated my whole memory of this event with what he did at the end. It almost made the rest of it pointless in a way. But there were some big crashes and some big moments. Let's cover them.
I mean, to me, the biggest other thing was the guy who finished second, Kyle Busch. Those closing laps, he looked like a man on a mission. Like, oh my God, this is going to be Kyle Busch's time to finally win the race that we've been waiting for him to win.
I feel like everyone was a Kyle Busch fan. Nothing against Chase, but I feel like everyone was like, "Come on, Kyle, you can get him," and Chase held off.
Which, by the way, I want to talk about this real quick too. I tweeted a video of him, like right out of the car, like he was watching Briscoe's burnout, and I tweeted like, "Defeat for Kyle Busch, he won't make the playoffs." He responded, and it's like, "Is this a hate post?" There was no hate intended.
He's sensitive.
Then Kyle Busch fans were coming at me. Kyle Busch fans were coming at me. They're like, "Why did you tweet? You delete the tweet."
Delete the tweet.
He's offended.
Yeah, and Andrew
Just
did tweet that
facts.
from Dirty Mo's account, not me. So I'm just glad that you're getting
Stating the facts.
Kyle's
the
very
heat for that.
sensitive.
Kyle's sensitive.
It's a significant moment, though.
And I mean,
he was,
a
him
very
missing-
sensitive moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a sensitive, already sensitive guy, very defensive guy. He's defensive, right?
Yeah.
He's always. I guess he's spent most of his career sort of feeling like
He had to stand up for himself.
he's always had to always had to kind of have
black
his own
sheep
back.
almost,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's
So you
stand
just kind of scratched an old wound there. But
Sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to.
I know you didn't intend anything. you were that is unfortunately it's Kyle who's in that position. But you were pointing out there's 2 sides to this. There's this great story over here, and then there's this other guy. A lot of people, to your point, Dalton, were pulling for that didn't happen. Think about I was watching this movie the other day with Billy Bob Thornton, the football movie where they go to the high school championship.
Oh God!
Dalton's got what?
Friday Night Lights.
Yes, and if you've never seen that movie before and you're watching it, you're thinking, oh, predictable, they're going to win.
Right.
They don't. They lose. They almost get to the finish line and don't. They don't win, right? And so, not, it's kind of like it's kind of a similar moment, right? Where he's like struggling through this whole year. Man, they've kind of got some momentum. Oh my God, they might pull this off. The last 3 or 4 weeks, it's just been, they're getting closer. And here he is on the threshold, and it just fell just a little short. And as unfortunate for Kyle, that too is what is great about sports. If we didn't have those almost or heartbreaking moments, I mean, you've got to have all ranges of the emotion for this to be great, right?
Here's your stat. It's in the last 4 points races, he has scored the most out of the entire field. So, I mean, he's been on a tear. I think the 8 car wins this year.
I did not think that after. So when they said at RCR, when RCR was like hinting that, man, we got something coming, we gonna fix this. I thought they were actually talking about the off season, but apparently over the winter Olympic break, they dug up a pot of gold. I don't know what they dug up out of the ground, but I don't know how it happens with this car. I know how it happens with the old car because the teams made most of the parts, right? So you could make some new
updates. That was the word you used.
Some new trick part, right?
Right.
But with this car, I don't know. Everybody has the same shit, so I don't know how they're finding any speed, right? But they did, and after Richmond, I was like, that's a one-off. The three has some pop-off runs at Richmond every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, they really are running good enough to win these races. He didn't luck into running second. He was a top 10 car all night long and kind of moving forward throughout the night, deeper into that top 10. And they put themselves in position, unlike so many other people that needed to win. They put themselves in position late with an advantage, a tire advantage. Oh, my God. Brilliant. I'm so frustrated with some of those guys. They're out there like, gotta win the race, and they're staying out.
Just
and
mailing it in.
Everybody from 10th on back's pitting for tires. How are you going to win?
I don't know.
I think specifically the car that comes to mind doing that was the 23. I thought for sure.
I wasn't going to call anybody out.
I don't want to, but it just I was really hoping to see Bubba competing for the win there. And they mentioned on the broadcast, even Michael Jordan was the guy who was put the ball in my hand. Yeah. And then Bubba didn't have the tires and didn't have the ball in his hand. And I get that it's all strategy and it's a judgment call, but I just hated not seeing him up there.
That's kind of, that's a great analogy. It's like, putting the ball in the guy's hand, giving him the tire advantage. It's like, you're on the 10-yard line. Are you going to throw it to your star receiver or the guy that's is starting his first game playing the slot? Don't throw it to the guy who has no real experience, right? I mean, you're going to throw it to your best player,
right?
You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, and that's America's #1 sports book. We have something a little different for you, though. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers that bet $5 get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/Dale to download America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in North Carolina, full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after the free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The other thing I wanted to mention about the race was the complete difference in the run that the 14 had and the run that the 19 had, because he's going into the 19 next year, and Truex, leaves on the second.
The last thing you need to do is wreck on lap 1, and he basically lap 3.
I mean, that was just an honest mistake, right? He was just trying to close on the 24, and car got away from him and went up into the wall.
It's also possible that the crescent moon is good fishing in Darlington County.
I was just gonna say he kind of didn't want to be there, but then the crescent moon thing, that's way more elegant.
You tune into this show for that type of analysis.
That was a Truex. There's a pond about 10 miles away. This this moon is perfect.
I got to make it look like I'm trying my best here and then go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great night for going. Anyways, sure. Martin. I wonder why. He said he made a mistake, and I wonder how. I know how he makes that mistake. I made plenty of mistakes, but last year of his career full time, and he's got a spot in the playoffs. He's got a spot that he kind of needed to protect. So when he crashed out, there was like a little conversation of, there
was a moment.
There was a moment
where they were like, he might not make it,
but he easily made it. So. Is he, is that like a little glimpse into maybe Truex is already on holiday?
I hope not. I hope that it was just an true honest mistake, like he was going for it. But
I mean, you'd like to think when they throw the helmet on, they're not thinking about that. I mean, you could tell me better than.
No, I don't think he's sitting there. I don't think he's in the car going, man, I'm on my boat.
I know that.
Yeah, whistling while he's driving.
Yeah,
it's a subconscious way back in there.
I think he's kind of like. I wonder if he's like already like.
Oh, this season's like I'm not gonna like I'm struggling like. This
I don't think he
type
would.
Of deal.
He would tell us we're crazy if he were sitting here right now. But you kind of. He's ground down to. I mean, he is. He would not admit this, man, but he is so ready for this next chapter, right?
Like drained.
Is
almost.
It more like burnout than it is like other?
All right,
motivation.
He's a little tired. He's a little ground down, not from this season, just from the 20 years of doing this, right? And there's this next thing that's so awesome. He can't wait for it to get here, and it's not. It is probably one of the hardest things that he'll ever do to stay totally plugged in to finish this year on with incredible dedication and focus, right? Because he's already
like senioritis almost.
Yeah,
right.
It's like senioritis.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to happen for him, because I've seen it, is he's going to look back and wish he had just played a little harder, because those moments don't come back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's good.
Man, I'd go back and do it just one more time. I've heard that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would totally go back and do a lot of it.
Yeah.
In terms of like if I mean, whole seasons.
Really?
Yeah. Like I would love to have
to
04
relive.
back.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
04 was the year where I had the best team in terms of there was 04 and I think 2014 were the two best. 13 was good too. I had a couple years with Earnhardt where I think we had enough team and car performance absolutely to win a championship.
It's the year before he retired.
Yeah.
Was 14 the one where
we won 3 races there?
But like Talladega, like you got screwed and got eliminated.
Yeah, something that was 15. That was with Greg.
Got it.
Yeah, we totally got screwed.
Because I saw someone's like they did the math and like you would have made it to the championship had that thing at Talladega not happened.
Yeah, there was all kinds of point scenarios I've read about. But
what was your potential in 04? Like if
we
it
won
went
6
better.
races.
No, I know, but like.
But I wasn't smart. I wasn't mature enough to really understand just how. If I had maybe done it a little differently, like I really never in that whole season went, man, I got a shot to win the championship, or, I was just racing to win, and got myself. I give Carl turned me down the back straightaway Atlanta, but I feel complicit in that. I feel a little responsibility to like be a little smarter in that scenario to not get us wrecked there. And that was a big chunk of points at a track where we should run top 5 if everything goes well. So that's a tough year. That great year. One of my more proudest moments in my career is being able to go win 6 or so races in a year. Wow, not many people get to do that. But there was I definitely left something on the table. And had I had a better mindset instead of, thinking about, hanging out with my buddies every Wednesday or Tuesday night and making that almost as much of a priority as the racing, because it was in 2004. Had I been more Jimmy Johnson-esque, right, and just like hammer down and race and racing every day, might have been a different result, but who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's always kind of fascinating going in those what-if scenarios. I want to ask a few more things about Darlington.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick, like what a freaking trooper he was with basically like MJ's got the flu game and now Reddick has the flu race. MJ's watching it. I felt for him in that.
No
moment.
one's going to remember this.
What?
No.
Really?
I mean, if he won.
Yeah.
Or if he
right.
would have actually gotten sick.
He won the regular season championship though. Like he walked away with a trophy at the racetrack.
Okay.
But
he didn't end up
getting sick.
throwing
right?
up or himself.
Throw up
he
or
was. He was
puke
sick.
No, I understand he felt bad.
He
but
didn't puke. He didn't himself.
He didn't do that.
He didn't do that either?
No. He said in the post-race press conference, they gave him something before the race, which like basically prevented him from. It locked him up, and he wished that it didn't happen because he just
wanted to
get it out.
Yeah.
Sorry to all the listeners. I'm sure this is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you're eating lunch right now.
I remember.
Hope it's a taco salad.
I remember it.
First chili of the year on this one.
I remember Junior Motorsports had the Navy car in Xfinity Series. Mark McFarland's driving. We're at Phoenix. We're running about 8th. And that was a pretty good day for us. Mark's doing a good job. All of a sudden, Mark just kind of goes up to the third groove and like lost about 6 spots in 2 laps. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? What is Mark doing? What the hell, Mark? And the crew chief's like, he's throwing up.
Oh, my
in his helmet.
God.
Yeah.
How bad would that be?
He got something.
Casey Mears was telling us he did that once, backstretch of whatever racetrack. And he's like, you realize how much you have to close your eyes.
Yeah.
When
you have
up,
to.
when you're in a race car doing it. Because you
Into
can't
your
see.
And then it's
helmet.
all over.
All over you.
Ugh.
He had ate
geez.
something.
It's hot.
He had ate something that morning.
That was just
for
like
lunch.
food poisoning or
Those
something.
chili dogs.
It was chicken.
Have you?
I didn't want to say you.
I'm never eating chicken again.
Yeah.
Well, that's on you.
Have you ever felt remotely sick in a race car? No. But I feel like that would not be a fun thing to have to deal with.
Yeah. I did, and I talk about this in the driver number 8 book that we did on our rookie year. I did have almost had a Tony Stewart moment where we won at Richmond. I don't realize it during the race. So as I'm driving the car and I drive and win the race, I'm not feeling anything. Everything's fine. I pull into Victory Lane and all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom and I've got to go right this second. And right next to Victory Lane back then was the Unical 76 building. There was one of those buildings at every racetrack, and they'd have the gas pumps there. And so when I was a young kid, my dad would always go to the Unical 76 building to use the bathroom, always go in there and cool off in the air conditioner or whatever. It was like a little driver's lounge, and there's I was always comfortable going into that building. I got out of the car. Usually they hold you, for TV. They're going to hold you because they're coming back from commercial. Well, I just got out, and they're like, no. I'm like, I'm getting out.
She didn't say a word.
Back up.
Yeah.
And
Hauled ass.
everybody's like, there's this moment where everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just turned and walked out of Victory Lane into the Unical building. My PR person comes running after me, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I got to use the bathroom. Go back to Victory Lane, tell everybody I'll be there in 5 minutes. And I went back in there in 5 or 10 minutes, and we reenacted the whole thing over again. Yeah. It's in the book.
Yeah.
It's in the book. But that's probably the closest I ever came. But I'm just going to say, like you said, Jordan had the flu game. Jordan won that game. That game was like a big – he scored all these points.
Yeah, but like Tyler was racing for something.
Yep.
I mean –
I hear you.
And he accomplished it by 1 point.
He's not gonna let this go.
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not gonna. You believe in your argument.
I think Tyler deserves some credit, respect for what he
all
did.
right. I'm giving him some respect
You
and
hate
credit.
him.
I don't hate him.
I find it to be meh. Like,
Yeah, me too.
Really?
I know that's so rude.
Man,
I just
she's
can't
gonna
help
get
it.
roasted, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I know
He's
what it's
right.
like
It's
to be
forgettable.
sick.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do anything except for like lay in
Yeah.
bed. And you got to go
Oh, yeah.
compete
So-
for points
Yeah.
in a race car
I don't
that's
even drive
hot.
home
Let
well.
me tell you something.
Right.
Like when
So let me
I
tell you something. All right, so let me say. So listen, I do appreciate Tyler. I think he's a great kid, good dude. Love that he's streaming online, playing video games, and doing things like that, putting himself out there. And he raced here, won a championship. So there's this, I got massive respect. I think back to probably around 1986 or 87. The Cup Series went to Bristol, and Kyle Petty had the flu. He was really sick. And they're like, he's probably not going to finish the race. He's driving, I think, for the Wood Brothers at the time. But he's gets in the car, and they're running along. And halfway through the race, he's running good, top 5. And then a couple cars come down pit road under a caution, and now he's going to inherit the lead. And he leads 25, 30 laps. And Benny Parsons is like, yeah, you feel terrible. You feel awful when you're sick. But when you get in a car, the car and driving the car, particularly at a place like Darlington or Bristol, demands so much focus that you don't get it. It's such a distraction, such a welcome distraction.
Forget about it.
And you forget how terrible you feel. And so, instead of if Kyle Petty had been running 30th, he would have probably just said, "Oh, screw this, I'm getting out. Who can get in this car?" But he's actually got a competitive car, and it was distracting. And I was like, wow, Kyle Petty with a flu, unreal. And, then I started driving race cars and got in the car with the flu and raced with some, race sick. And it's true. Like, you forget all of the crap you're feeling, and you'd go out on the racetrack and drive the car, and you'd come back in the garage like during practice and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, I still have that sore throat, I forgot. Mm-hmm. You kind of like bummed because just for a brief moment you almost forgot you were feeling like and so
I don't know, maybe that's all true. It seems like it's true.
Yeah, it is.
It seems like it'd be hard to do anything else when you're that hot and you have to focus.
Yeah, you can't not focus on the car 100%, and so I bet at least during a lot of that race under green flag, it's probably the cautions is when he's sitting there going, God, I'm miserable. I'm going to throw up. I'm about to vomit.
Yeah.
But I think during the green flag runs, it was probably a welcome distraction. And why he probably didn't get out of the car, there was probably not many people that could get in it. Nobody was really out of the race. Truex wasn't going to be able to fit. They talked about that. So that's why I think, to me, it's kind of like, hey, okay, yeah, he ran the race. He finished it. He was sick. He was going to throw up. All right. It's not, to me, like Michael Jordan playing a basketball game with the flu and scoring all them points and beating that team. It's not the same to me, but
fair enough.
Yeah.
You asked me yesterday to dig up our playoff predictions from February, and so I've got them. And you were right on. I hate that you were right, but you were right on a lot of things.
Really?
You want to hear them?
Yes. I love when I'm right.
Did y'all make any bets on this yet either?
Amy
Just
just
your
loves
chance.
You know what? I need to introduce Amy to FanDuel. It
Well,
seems like she loves gambling.
Girls, I wouldn't mind gambling. I don't like to lose though, so that's where I probably wouldn't do it. But you guys are so competitive. But
Well, on FanDuel you get bonus bets,
I know, but
so
with this
it's like betting with their money.
Do other people, or is it just you that gets free money?
I could sign you
No,
up.
everyone.
I could sign
Everyone
you
does?
up. Amy, I could sign you up. You'd get like $100 in bonus bets.
Use
and
code
then
Dale.
I also would get some bonus bets to besides
Here is
you.
why
It's
he
like
actually
money.
wants to sign
yeah,
up.
that's why.
If you don't want me to get those bonus bets, you have another friend
Oh, you gift
that
it
can
to
sign
somebody
you
else.
up. They could sign you up. They could get the bonus bets, and then you and your girlfriends could.
Yeah, so y'all do all
It's
these.
very
Y'all
exciting.
do all these things, but there's no actual reward. It's just the glory of being right.
That's right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as bonus
Have you
bets.
seen the ticker
That's
upstairs?
just the difference
Hey,
between a man and a woman.
this really didn't start taking off until the last year. I called Blaney to the championship in February, and he goes and wins the championship. Everybody's like, Blaney, remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
You
then he
didn't
goes,
shut up about it. I remember.
Well, of course. Who would?
Why would
I guess
he?
If
yeah.
you had done the same thing, you would still be
You
telling
were just-
us about it.
Anyway,
I'm going to
we'll go
playoff
over that
media
later.
day tomorrow, and I'm telling every driver that they're my pick to win.
Yeah.
Every single one.
And,
And
then
then-
I'm just going to play the right clip at the end.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
So here's what we have. You said Spire improves performance. The 7-car wins. I disagreed on that. Look
Yep.
who's right.
Look who's right.
This guy. Justin Haley overachieves. Buescher misses the playoffs. You were right about that. Brad wins a race, which you were right about. Ty Gibbs to make the round of 12. Still TBD on that.
We'll
You
see.
said he'd get a win, maybe 2. So we're still waiting on that.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott to make the round of 8, an improvement over last season.
Still debatable. He's Chase has been.
He's had a rough run the past
Yes.
couple weeks. Yeah.
You said, I don't think SHR will win. Well, look at what happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
But then you also gave yourself insurance by saying this. They may luck out and get a win somewhere and boot somebody out of the playoffs.
Boom.
That exactly. Just
Although
happened.
this
you
one
just
wasn't
said
lucky.
you just said two scenarios though.
Right.
You're like, oh, they won't win, but they might.
Yeah. Left
So you're
myself
right.
left myself an exit.
And
Exit route.
you took the exit route
Off the wrong
Yes.
train.
Yeah. But you did call. I was listening to this. And I'm like, damn it, he's right about this stuff. So all right, this is your 16. LaJoy, Bubba, Kyle Busch. So 3 that didn't make it right
Damn.
there.
Well, then that's not good.
Keselowski, Bell, Chastain, who didn't make it.
Damn.
Bowman, Gibbs, Elliott, Reddick, Truex, Byron, Logano, Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, and Blaney's your champion.
Yeah.
So you
Again.
got 1, 2.
I missed 4, so I think that's pretty. If you can't get like at least 12, it's not really good unless you got like 12 of. How many are there? 16.
Yeah, so you got 12 of 16.
No, I think if you're 16, you got to get at least 14 for it to be honorable. Yeah.
People were complaining about the playoff system.
Yeah.
All 4 Hendrick cars are in. All 4 Gibbs cars are in. All 3 Penske cars are in.
Okay.
So, like, the top of the top is in the playoffs. It's
Okay.
not like anybody really got left
That's
out.
a really good point.
Like, I don't know that. I
There's
don't know what
8
people are
different
complaining
teams.
about.
I thought it was an point. Yeah.
Is it?
But
That's a good point.
Amy
That's
liked
a
it.
good point.
Amy
Okay,
liked
all
it.
right. I'll
nice,
take.
nice work.
So
Tom.
we've
Thank
got
you.
we've got all the guys that everybody's really cheering for all the time.
That's
in
what I'm
there.
saying.
And then there's a few.
And then you have Tyler Reddick,
Toss-ups.
right? And then those guys, right?
How many
So-
drivers do you think can realistically win the championship? I was looking at it. I think you could confidently say 8. 8 guys who like, all right, they have a chance to win, and then 8 who you're like,
I can't stop
They're not
staring at
gonna
your
make it far.
mustache. Do you have a mustache?
Who?
Andrew.
Andrew.
gonna
Looks like
shave
he's
It's
got a-
longer than the rest.
Is it?
Yeah. He's been hiding it behind his microphone like this. Now he's sitting up and I can see it.
now you're not gonna be able to
Weird.
see. I'm gonna do the rest of the show like this. So I think like Larson, Bell, Reddick, Byron,
8.
Blaney,
Yes, 8. Yes.
Hamlin,
8.
Chase, and then like
Yes.
one more guy, maybe Logano, maybe
It's toss-
Truex.
Yeah. You got a wild card in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8. You're right. 8 contenders.
8.
Are y'all going to reselect your champion and
Yeah,
make an actual
are you
wager?
changing off of Blaney?
No, I'll stick with Blaney.
Okay.
I think you can't change. You're not allowed to change after you can't change your champion. You pick your champion, you can't change it.
Well, since they can't remember and find their list, surely it will be close. Like you probably picked
My
the same.
champ 4 is probably Larson, Bell, Denny, and give me Tyler Reddick. Larson wins the championship. That's me.
Yeah.
You think Larson wins the championship?
Yeah.
I think this year is.
I think Larson's going to win too.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
He's just
My
had such a
championship
good year.
4 is Logano, Larson, Hamlin, Blaney.
And Blaney wins.
And Blaney wins.
Back to back.
I
Good for him.
do want to say this. If I am wrong, if this does not happen, Christopher Bell wins the championship.
I could see that being a very
That was going to be my
I
pick.
think Christopher Bell doesn't make the round of 8.
You said,
That was what I said.
Yeah, you said.
You said
that.
he either like doesn't make the round of 8 or he goes
Yes,
all the way.
that's right.
Like there's no in between for
nope.
Christopher Bell.
He doesn't make the round of 8 or he wins the title.
You know what's actually more difficult is not picking a champ 4, but the first 4 out.
Yeah, it's hard.
I think is way more difficult because like
Yeah.
I think is Burton, Briscoe, Suarez, and Bowman.
Not.
But then
Cindric.
you've got Cindric in there, you've got Ty Gibbs, you got Truex, like there's other guys that could
And you got
easily
Mad
fall
Kyle
out of
Busch
this.
coming after you.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, the whole time.
Kyle
Yeah,
Busch
it's
is a
just-
man on a mission.
Just picking
a
people off.
heat-seeking missile.
Yep.
I think my 4 would be Bell, Denny, Chase, and Joey. I know I'm taking a little bit of a weird route there. I don't know. Something about Kyle just seems. Not that I doubt him. He's the greatest guy to hold a steering wheel right now, but just
Yeah.
it's just circumstantial.
All right.
Thoughts on Harrison Burton? I only asked because our
About it.
just does he make it past the first round, the 21 car?
I mean, the odds would say no.
What are the tracks? we're
Vegas
going to?
odds would say no.
What are the tracks?
It's Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Bristol. I think he's got an uphill.
Those are hard
climb
tracks
it.
for him to.
I think they go into Atlanta going, "It's win. We got to win it."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what if I'm like Suarez, he will do that because he won Atlanta earlier, so he's going in there in his mind thinking, I can win. Why I don't have to win. I'm gonna win. I can win. I did it. But like Cindric and Bowman, I don't know if Bowman will have that attitude. He might think that there's a points route for him to get there. But I think, Briscoe, Burton, they should not. They could just really kind of throw caution to the wind.
Just this one race.
And just just be crazy risk takers, right? Because all of the people that they're battling, all the guys on this first half, the first 8, let's say from Brad Keselowski to Larson, right? They look at Atlanta and go, let's just not screw up.
Just bring it home.
Let's not crash out. Let's not have something happen. Let's not put ourselves anywhere near any dangerous situation, right? And so that's when a guy like Harrison Burton can say, oh, they're going to drive very cautiously. They won't drive cautiously at the Glen and these other tracks because they're going to go out there and think, well, I'm going to run hard and I know how to do that and I know how to do it here. But Atlanta is an anomaly, much like Talladega. And so that's Burton's chance to say, this is my moment because they're going to under deliver. They're going to be careful, and here I can take advantage of that. Right? Pounce. That's the mentality I think you need. Don't go in there and think you're going toe to toe with these guys at these other racetracks. Right?
Yeah,
that's a great point.
So go to Atlanta and even go to Atlanta and go, hey, they got a lot to lose. They got a lot to lose, and they're gonna try to shelter that, and they're gonna try to. They got a little 40-point lead, 28-point lead, 22-point lead, whatever. They're gonna try to. We got to protect that. We got to come out of here in a decent position. So they're gonna be driving cautiously, not taking risks, not taking chances. That's your opportunity to counterbalance that. Thank you, Tire Pros, for everything you guys do to support us here at Dale Jr. Download and Dirty Mo Media. Tire Pros, they've got over, 600, 800 locations nationwide. They're all owned by people in your community. So when you go to a Tire Pros, you're helping those that are your neighbors. And they don't do just tires. When I heard about Tire Pros for the first time, I thought, if I need my tires rotated or a new set of tires, that's where I'll go. But they do everything, alignments, brakes, any issue you might have with your car, they got a line of mechanics there ready to work on it, multiple bays, and they'll fix you right up. So great place to get your car serviced, and great people too. So thank you, Tire Pros. This is going to be great because Amy's here.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, Amy, it'll be great.
Amy had a really good time in Florence.
Good. So we talked about in the past how Florence was a track that I raced at in the 90s a lot, and Myrtle Beach was my home track, if you will. Myrtle Beach was my main track, and Florence was a Friday night racetrack that we went to most of the time. Now, we didn't go every single race. In 1996, though, we did. Me and Wesley, my crew chief and trusty companion, my pal, we went to Florence on Friday and Myrtle Beach on Saturday every week. And I think we ran 16 races that year at Florence in 1996.
Damn.
So and we run 22 at the beach. So in 94, 95, I might have ran 6 to 8 or 10 races at Florence. 1 or 2 weekends in 1996, we would run Florence on Friday night and then drive all the way to Nashville Fairgrounds and race there on Saturday. 2 different cars, mind you. We would drive from the shop, the Deerhead shop. That's where I kept my cars, the old Deerhead shop at DEI. We would keep our cars there, and we would load up in our gooseneck and our dually and drive all the way to Florence, South Carolina. We would race and practice and get done around midnight and drive home and swap cars. And we would either drive back past Florence to go race at Myrtle Beach on Saturday night, or we'd load up and go all the way to the fairgrounds and race at the fairgrounds. And so it was fun. We loved it. You heard all these stories in the past about Dad and those guys racing their sportsman cars in the 70s, running on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all weekend, 4 races in 4 days, every weekend. Often is, just racing. It's crazy. No, there's no tracks running on Thursday nights. No oval tracks, no asphalt oval tracks at least. Rarely do many of them run on Friday night.
I bet he did not have time to play any Madden.
Yeah.
No, there's no time.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know how you even slept just doing the 2, much less.
Man, it was fun. We used to have a lot of fun in Florence. So I really regret not racing at Myrtle Beach in the last decade, right? And it's now gone. They've developed the track, and there's gonna be houses there. So I can't go back to the beach. I should have. I was stupid and drug my feet and didn't get back into late model racing until after I retired. I should have tried to do some of it in the last probably 15 years and just didn't. So anyhow, I decided to get back into it, and Florence is still digging. Florence has new owners, Steve Zacharias and his wife Jacqueline, their family. They run it, and it has not changed. It looks exactly like it did when I raced there. Now they've got it looking really nice. They've done some work and put a lot, new bathrooms, new suites, and all that stuff. But it doesn't look different, which I love. It's still very nostalgic. I have wanted Amy to go. I've been racing at Florence since I went back to late models for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've run about 6 races there, and I've wanted Amy to go to see it. She's never been to that grassroots local short track with me to see what that's like. The closest thing that she would compare it to was the Wilkesboro thing we did in August a couple years back. And so she decided, I took the 5th wheel from Camping World that we got. Me and a couple friends drove it up there Thursday morning. We had practice all day. It was hotter than hell. It was 90 freaking something degrees.
I saw Tim Duggar was keeping you cool.
Yeah, Tim Duggar
Yeah,
had
he was
a
using
leaf blower?
a leaf blower through the window.
Dude, it was just
Was that
miserable.
Did that feel good?
Yeah, it did feel good.
I don't know. Leaf blower to the face. Normally,
Well,
He
I had
said
a
he was
helmet
hitting
on.
all the body parts.
Yeah.
It was so hot in the car. He's like, I'm just.
You just needed any
Some
air moving
yeah.
was better than nothing. I mean, it was so miserable, and we had a little problem with the splitter. The nose rolled up under. There's a little bump in turn 3 that got my car tore up, so we had to work on that. It was just hot and miserable. The car really wasn't doing everything I wanted it to do speed-wise. I didn't know if we were that good or not. Sort of just kind of having a really, really tough day but all of the thing, it's still better than anything because you badly want to be there. You badly want to be doing this, and you miss it. So even as miserable as it was a fun day. Amy and some friends came up the next day. We had some practice in the morning on Friday for the race day. And Amy and the girls, Amy and some friends of hers, come on up and were there the majority of Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
cool.
so, yeah, and got to meet pretty much everybody. They were, Florence is fun because my car is parked, our spot where we park our car inside the track, the race car, is literally at the end of pit road. Right, you walk across the racetrack to get in and out right in turn 1, and you walk straight past my car, right, if you're going to go into the track. And my camper is right outside the track, literally.
Right there next to each other.
Yeah, so they're 50 feet away from each other, or 50 yards. And so pretty fun. And I'll let Amy describe what she experienced and how much, what she thought of Florence, the racetrack, and the whole thing. It was warm Friday. We got it was 5 degrees, maybe cooler than it was Thursday, which was kind of decent. And the race was at night, which helped a lot. And we had a fun race. So as far as the race goes, I'm a terrible qualifier. I have no idea why. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I am bound and damn determined to figure out how to do better in qualifying. I just need a 10th. And it's in me. It's something I'm doing to the car as I'm driving it. Once we get the races going, I'm okay. I can figure out, once I get into some repetition and start to move my line around and find out how I'm supposed to drive the car.
It's like your racecraft is better.
Yeah.
Than,
So we qualified ourselves in a really bad hole, and that forced us to do a strategy that we really prefer not to do, but it's really the only one that's going to work in this scenario. We're going to have a caution, which we knew was going to happen, and that was going to land around lap 60. So we rode for the first half of the race, saved tires as much as we could, did everything we could not to get lapped, but run as slow as possible without getting lapped. And then when we know we're going to race the second half of the race without a yellow, unless there's a natural caution coming, we're going hard. We're going to push hard and drive toward the front, and that's what we did. And drove back up to 10th place and ended up with a top 10. Car was probably we got held up a little bit by a couple guys running side by side and couldn't really get by them. Not really their fault. Just we were running out of race car, running out of tire. Near the end of the race, it was getting a little bit harder to get by some people. But we had enough speed, I think, to compete in the top 5. And I just got to qualify better. When I qualify in the back, you're not going to drive from the back of the field to the front anymore. The field's too strong. And so I have to qualify in the top 15 to give us a shot at it.
Amy, how would you describe the experience from your perspective then?
I mean, it was fun. It was very laid back, and it was warm, but it's warm everywhere right now, so I expected that. It was neat watching how happy he was because I have spent a lot of time with him at the big races, and that was very stressful. And he always keeps telling me how fun it is to go back to these old tracks. But he's like always telling me too how miserable, hot, and all these things. I miss everybody. It's so hot. I didn't qualify well. Like, I know he's still enjoying it, but the look on his face is very different than it was racing Cup races. And qualifying's not changed. We hated qualifying day back then too. I mean, we would have some really, really rough Friday evenings after qualifying. He hated it. So that hasn't changed, but it didn't matter as much then as it does, I guess, now, because you're in such a small track and the car handles totally differently. Yeah. It was fun watching the last, 20 laps, because you could see an obvious hammer down. And it was over before I realized it was the last lap. I was like, wait a second, he just got going. We need a couple more. Like, if we had 7 more laps, I think he would have at least gotten up to the top 3.
Yeah.
Because he was moving. Well. Yeah. It wasn't obvious. Everybody else was able to see it too. It wasn't just me. And so we were all screaming, and we were in the suite so you could see the whole racetrack. We had people that had never been to a race before with us. And so we want to have that vantage point. But they could all see it, and everybody was on their feet screaming.
The environment there is super cool.
Yeah.
Did you go?
No, but I went to your last race at Florence.
Yeah. Where were you? You were in town?
Where was I? I was home.
You went to Darlington?
Yeah, just on Sunday.
Oh, I got you. Yep.
See, I didn't have a place to stay, so it would have been going back.
Well, I had
and
a bunk in the top of the camper. You could have stayed up there.
Dang,
Yeah.
I would have done that.
You'd had to listen to Tim Duggar snore.
Yeah, you wouldn't have slept much.
In the bunk below you.
It
But
doesn't sound fun anymore. Are you racing again in Florence?
well, we have.
Am I not supposed to ask that question?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
Florence has. Florence has an. I mean, the great Florence. We ran Friday night. We were leaving Saturday morning. Saturday, they had 3 series come in, Legends Cars, Bandoleros, and then they had another deal Sunday. So, I mean, they had a whole weekend full of racing. They'll probably have more than this. I don't know if you want to go on their website and look at the schedule, but there is a race, South Carolina 400. It happens right before Thanksgiving on Saturday.
That's the
I've
one.
ran that over the last several years. I'm eyeing maybe going back, and we'll just have to. We'll have, if we're going to do it, we'll certainly have an announcement soon. And then the Icebreaker in February is another race that I ran in the past. So I mean, those 2 are fun, kind of bookends to the season. I didn't really, racing in the summer is tough. It is hot and it is really, really hard on the teams. So that I love those 2 events because they're the weather's really reasonable, and I like to race at Florence. But I don't know what we're gonna do going forward, but we're gonna do something. We'll just have to see. We got this Xfinity race coming up at Bristol.
I'll be there. I'll support you from there.
So
I kind of keep forgetting about that.
I know, right? So that's
We talk so much about all these.
That's like the
late model
sign
races
that
and-
maybe it's time to all right, we're gonna close the book on racing in the Xfinity series. When you're like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm racing
That whole
Bristol
thing.
under the lights.
Kind of a big
the 88
thing.
car.
Yeah. So everybody's like, is this really your last race? I'm like, probably. Yeah, pretty sure. At least I'm gonna keep running my late model for a little while, but
It's a big deal.
yeah. All right, we're going to move on to Dirty Modo and a little Cars Tour update, recap of the race coming your way, and then the white flag. But Amy's going to skip out. Amy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, honey.
All right, so it's time to bring in Tampa Tim's Dirty Modo expert and talk about how he did this past weekend with some of his best bets for Darlington and what's coming up at the race at Atlanta. Dirty Modo comes out every Thursday, and they'll be the ones sort of teeing you up on some of the bets to make, some of the bets they think you can have success on. So Tampa Tim's.
Hey,
how you doing, buddy?
What's up?
How'd it go this weekend?
Well, lap 2, it started off horrible.
Oh, yeah?
I had Blaney to beat Truex head-to-head, and Truex decided to just wreck Blaney and drive it halfway around the track to the pits, and that was a loss.
Yeah, so right away, Truex is going to get scored ahead of Blaney.
Yep.
All right, what about Larson to the win?
Yeah, live bet him because he was, 240 laps led. I don't know how he didn't win that race, so that was disappointing. But congratulations, Chase Briscoe. But I don't know how he didn't win that race. Yeah. That's crazy.
After Briscoe's sitting there running so well, why not live bet Briscoe?
He was like 60-1 pre-race, and then when he's running that well, he was probably like plus 200.
Oh,
and it's like at that point, I lost everything on it. It's not gonna
decided to call it a night.
Yeah, just like whatever. If he wins, congratulations.
All right, so we got another random sort of kind of like Talladega and Daytona in terms of how do you handicap the event at Atlanta. You've got Suarez winning there, and you'll see as they're coming down to the finish of that race, a lot of unusual suspects running up toward the front, and a lot of your favorites or the drivers you tend to think that could do well at that race can find themselves in early trouble. So what do you do this weekend?
I think I'm going to take what you said earlier in the show. I think a lot of those guys that are in the playoffs, like a Briscoe, Burton, that might take a risk. They might use this race as their opportunity to kind of move on to the next round. I might take a chance with those guys.
Yeah. Is this a race though where you're more likely to live bet mid-race or less?
Less likely,
right?
Yeah. Because it's so random, and we saw the 3-wide finish in the spring. It's so random. I think I'm just sticking with what I bet pre-race and hoping it pans out.
That's probably some great advice for Atlanta and Daytona and Talladega, and how the strategies may change in terms of how you set up the weekend. So, all right, bud. Who do you think? Who's the underdog? We're going into a race where like Daytona, like Talladega, you could get that fluke win, right? Mm-hmm. There's always that potential. Who is that driver this weekend?
I think it's Justin Haley.
What?
Yeah, I do.
The guy's not even sniffed the win.
He was running really well at Daytona.
Really?
Yeah. Until he crashed.
Man.
But I think Justin Haley.
I mean, he does have a history, at least in the Xfinity Series, for being really good at making the right moves and being able to put himself in position. But I hadn't seen it so far in the Cup Series so much. So I'm a little surprised by that. But the odds have to be pretty insane.
When they come out, he'll probably be pretty insane. That's kind of why I like it too.
All right. Wow. All right. So Dirty Modo every Thursday. A couple days they'll be putting out some of their information. Let's see if the rest of the guys on the show agree with Tampa Tim's and his Justin Haley pick. That'll be out sometime Thursday. I hope you'll tune in. Every Sunday after the race, again, the teardown with Jeff Gluck, Jordan Bianchi. They dropped a good one this past Sunday about Darlington and actions detrimental with Denny Hamlin. A great first-person view of what it was like to be in that race and how difficult that race was. Denny does some great commentary on his experience in the race. That dropped yesterday. Dropping today is Door Bumper Clear. Running a little late this week.
Labor Day.
Yeah, they had a little. Oh, okay. Oh. Must be nice. Yeah. All right.
We're on time.
So Door Bumper Clear taking advantage of the Monday holiday. Will be dropping today on a rare Tuesday. Dropping tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. Connor finished on the podium over the weekend.
So awesome.
First one ever for that team.
Yeah. So I saw that, man. I was so happy to hear it. He wants so badly to be successful. This is great motivation and momentum for him, and I hope that everybody's tuning into Speed Street to learn all about what Connor's going through. So Pato O'Ward and Scott McLaughlin are going to be joining the show this week. Mm-hmm. That's two drivers.
Yep.
And also, we're going to have an interview with Travis Carter Travis Carter was a team owner, but also a crew chief. He's been in the sport for a very long time. I've never, ever, I can't ever remember ever having a conversation with this guy.
Oh,
Never.
Man.
Right?
This is going to be exciting.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know what I've got myself into, but the dude's been around forever. I can't wait to kind of see where he is and what he's been up to and what all he might be able to remember from his experiences in the sport. Thursday, DJD Reloaded with Ash Jr. and more, and then Dirty Mo Doe will be out as well on Thursday. And then, let's see, a new episode of Andrew Curlin went there. Is that a new show? What the hell is that?
It's kind of like the rebrand of my At Track series that we're doing.
Instead of just calling it Man on the Street.
Man on the Street is now Andrew Curlin Went There.
I'll go there.
Okay. Well, a new episode of Andrew Curlin Went There with Christopher Bell is out on the Next Level YouTube page right now. It's out now.
Yep, it's out right now. Yeah, Christopher Bell was awesome. He gave me a lot of good insight talking about playoffs.
Well, Dalton, you got our weekly social media standout.
Yeah, this one comes from friend of the show, Ty Norris. Last week we talked about friend of the show. Last week we talked about your buddy Ross, the bull rider, and he had a story that he wanted to share. One time, Ross walked up to Tim McGraw at the AB convention, and he had never met Tim before. And he said, "Hey Tim, please tell your wife to stop texting me." And Tim didn't know what to say, and Ross started laughing and said, "Just kidding. Hi, I'm Ross. Nice to meet you."
That's hilarious. Faith Hill,
right,
is his wife. My gosh. I told you those guys are crazy. We got the question of the week, and it's from William Byron.
So, Dale, I want to know how you drink so many beers after your late model races. I know for me, I was gassed after those. So, how are you feeling the next day?
I feel really good after. I feel great the next day. I feel like I get right back to beer drinking when I get up. When I would race back in the day, all through my Cup career, I would be so I would have so much adrenaline running that I just I slept a lot, overslept a lot, slept in late. I mean, I was never really a get up early kind of person. And so I was getting lots of rest. And when the race is over with, I got so much adrenaline going through me, I would just ride that adrenaline till 3, 4 in the morning. I would either, and I'd just go down the basement and drink beer or hang out. I'd call my buddies on the way home. Hey, y'all want to hang out? Let's hang out. Meet me at the river, Whiskey River. And so we just hang out and drink, and that was fine. I mean, I drank a lot of water and stuff after races too on the way home. But, as soon as the race was over, it was like my weekend's starting. Your weekend's ending, mine's beginning. And I told Amy at Florence, I said, hey, even at Wilkesboro, when she went to Wilkesboro back when we revived that racetrack, when the race was over, I said, there's going to be a beer cooler. There's going to be some beer drinking. I know it's going to be late, but I'm not going to want to go right to bed. You may be like, hey, finally, day's over. I'm so tired. I'm ready. She's got the kids. She's doing all the things. And she's probably like, shoo, we finally get to go to sleep. And I told her, I said, I'm probably not going to want to go to bed. I'm probably going to want to hang out with the guys, and I don't know what they're really going to want to do. We ended up at Wilkesboro. We ended up over at this house on the property. These folks that live nearby, we went over there and drank some beer in their garage till like 3, 4 in the morning. I mean, it was late. Yeah. And we ran third in that race. But like after, I told her at Florence, I said, Amy, when the race is over, it might be midnight, but the guys are going to want to pull out a flat iron grill and cook hot dogs and burgers and drink beer. And that might be an hour. That might be 3 hours. We might be drinking when the sun comes up, whatever. Right. And so, it rarely gets that intense, but the guys will drink, I don't know, 6 beers, standing in the pits, and we'll not even load up. We'll just pull the car in. I'll get out. And we'll crack a beer. I mean, I have a beer in my hand probably 5 minutes after I get out of the car.
That's electric.
And we'll just drink beer, and then we'll load up everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just real slow. And we're the last ones. Like, everybody's pulling out. We're saying bye. And all the, hey, man, good run. Good job. Hey.
That's how it should be, though.
Yes.
Gosh, the memories, dude.
And we got done and loaded the team up. So we'd probably sit there and drink beer till 1 o'clock or so. Or it wasn't that late because the race didn't end too late.
Yeah.
So we got done and got the guys out of there, and they're on the road home. But from the moment the race ended till when we finally loaded up was about an hour and a half of just hanging out, drinking about 4 or 5, 6 beers. And then we went over to the camper and sat around the camper and had another 6 beers, right? And then we got up in the morning and we're loading up and hitching our fifth wheel at 9 in the morning, and then drove home. Yeah,
that's how it should be. You doing that at Bristol? Maybe not as extreme.
So Bristol, that's the thing. Like at the Xfinity and Cup races, everybody leaves. There's no hanging out.
That's too bad.
Yeah, like there were a couple. We had a beer cooler on pit road at Martinsville, and we drank beer with Clements and a couple of the guys when we got out of the car at the end of the race. Noah, a couple other people came by that year. So I mean, if I try hard, we can have a beer cooler at the NASCAR races, but it's just a little different.
Yeah.
Nobody else is staying. Like everybody, I don't know. It's a different vibe. Like when at the grassroots level, people just kind of hang around and nobody's in a big rush.
Yeah.
Because it's Saturday night. It's not Sunday night.
Right.
It's a little different. Not everybody's got to run home, get to work, all that stuff. But, I don't know. I mean, he's young. He'll get there. Talking about Byron.
Oh, I'm like, wait, how did we get
William Byron?
Yeah.
I mean, how many? If William Byron were to sit down and drink beer, how many beers is a lot of beers to him? Right? When I was his age, 5, 6 beers was a lot of beers to me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I can see that.
Right?
Yeah.
And 8 was a really, really lot of drinking, right?
Yeah.
8 or 10 beers was a ton of drinking beer, right? You're like, God dang, I was messed up at 8 beers. But now, like, especially those 55, shoot, I drank Sunday, I drank about 20 beers.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they're 55s. They're all they're like
and
half,
they're not
2.5%, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like it's really like drinking about 10.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Good stuff.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope you enjoyed Amy being a part of the show. She'll be back at the first of next month. A lot of people talk about TJ, how much fun he was on the show. Might be able to get him back in here. We're talking to Mike, trying to convince him to do that. And otherwise, everybody have a great week. Don't forget, Travis Carter tomorrow, all the other things going on Dirty Mo Media. And the race in Atlanta this weekend should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch it.